pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years finds, and shall find me, unafraid. It matters not how straight the gates, how charged the punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Nocturn. Stand down and no one has to die today.
This only ends one way.
They'll kill you all.
Why not take your chances in a prison cell? Alright, I'm coming out.
My lord, I have a report.
Speak.
Our latest assassination attempt on Lady Nocturn has failed.
I can see stronger measures are needed. Begin phase 2.
Captured! The notorious Lady Nocturn has been brought in through the valiant efforts of the Void Cobras.
Get on the damn bird.
Prisoner, take 5 steps, then stop and turn to your right.
But the pirates of Velix Mortis are far from defeated.
My lord, I have a report.
Let's cut to the chase, since we both know that this isn't a social call and you didn't come here to waste time.
Fine. High Command is gambling that the attempt on your life by your so-called friends has made you willing to cooperate. Am I wasting my time now?
What fate will befall the disgraced former pirate?
The Minotaur sends his regards, traitor.
What does your High Command want, and what are they offering in return?
High Command wants many things, but it wants a show of good faith first.
Go.
Fire Team 1, move up. Fire Team 2, covering fire.
Bravo Team 1, push up. Bravo 2, give us support.
What next for now infamous mercenaries, the Void Cobras?
I want every last pirate I used to run with dead. I don't want to be watching over my shoulder every hour of every day.
Now you die!
Will the Void Cobras become targets of Lady Nocturne's former pirate comrades?
Attention, crash override. This is Freighter Ebony Hawk. My ship just lost all power and thrust. We're going down. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
There truly is no honor among thieves. You rabble will turn on each other at the slightest provocation.
Okay, fine. Moving past you.
Find out on the next episode of Star Citizen Nocturne.
Jameson, you copy?
Touch me now, I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you.
Jameson, we require immediate emergency extract.
I don't know, man. It looks kind of hot over there.
Of interest in my life to idiots.
You understand that people need attention. 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 hear him saying that people need to take
If you like our content, we'd appreciate if you'd like, subscribe, and get notifications. Help us extend our reach by sharing our video content. And if you want to help us beat the algorithm, also leave us a comment on some of our videos.
What in the fuck is up, fam of Liberty? What's up, Admin B, Admin Edie Low, Admin Pixel Face, and Doug from Political Drain? How you guys doing?
What's up? What's up? Doing good. I made it. I made it on time.
Yeah.
Here.
I'm gonna be crocheting.
That is such a typical thing for you.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. I'm gonna give a quick shout out to Mary Kay. You know why? Admin Jen. Oh yeah, let me check on Admin Jen real quick, y'all. Talk amongst yourselves.
She sent us some video. It is windy there already.
Yeah, it came ashore. They said at the airport, Sarasota, Bradenton Airport.
How far is that from where she is?
It's sort of southish, but they still have to worry about surge, I think.
Yeah, and being on the north side of a hurricane is never good. Source been on the north side of quite a few hurricanes.
There's a lot of crashing outside, she says. She's worried. She's afraid to go to sleep, and she's barely been to bed since she got home from work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What y'all may not know is Jen night.
Yeah,
I would be sleeping in like a Kevlar helmet and a flak vest in the bathtub with like a mattress pulled over me, like me and Mikey curled up like this. I have to get him a little helmet, so he's got a wee helmet.
She needs one.
It is Category 3 Trenda 1701. That's what they're saying on the news.
All right. Jen says she's hanging in there. Lots of crashing noises, as she previously reported to Ebo. Okay. So, for those of you that are just tuning in, go back and watch the video once we're done with the live stream and catch some of that live action and machinima footage that I either wrote and filmed, or myself, Admin Matt, and Admin B wrote and filmed, etc., as the case may be. Now that shameless plug is out of the way,
Some good stuff.
I just got a message from Cobra Commander, and he said that he is steering the Hurricane away from Admin Jen per special request from your boy, Big Sarge. In fact, I told him that if he didn't, I was going to take the Baroness and go on OnlyFans and cuck him.
Well, I've been in contact with Destro.
He's Scottish, by the way. He doesn't sound like it in anything, but per the lore, he's
Scottish.
Destro's not even a Scottish name. It's like, we're from Clan Destro.
Yeah, well, he says he's got all the new tech ready and waiting to make sure that we can steer the Hurricane exactly to the places where we need it to ensure that the most damage is done only to the people that we want it to be done. That's what's happening. And they're
right.
Specific, and we're not going to send aid to Republican areas.
No, make sure of that. Make sure of that.
That is just so you know, really annoying.
I've got extra baby hearts for anybody who wants to eat them with me.
I love how it's coming around full circle where they feel like it's large corporations maybe that are responsible for this somehow. How
You're kidding
could they
me.
be responsible?
Back in the old days, if y'all want to know, I'm making a sweater. It's going to be in the style of the Taylor Swift dress. So that's what I'm making. I crochet all the time. It keeps my hands busy. So I was going to say that back in the day, they used to think God was punishing us for the gays.
Yeah, so that's
the price that's not come up.
I remember when it was Katrina, we were being punished.
Mm-hmm.
God was punishing all of us because we went away from him and we've allowed gay marriage. So Katrina happened, and now the Democrats are making it happen.
Yeah, it's
retribution for the times that God and the Republicans unleashed hurricanes on us. Now it's our turn. You know what? If this conspiracy were true, doesn't anybody think that you should just, join the right fucking team? The only team that can control the weather now? Like, why would you want to be on the losing end? And why in the fuck would we take a hurricane and just say, you know what, let's target this blue area here. Let's wipe out some of our blue voters and then spend billions of dollars to rebuild it all.
Yeah. Asheville, for any of you who are not in, admin Elo, let you talk.
I was just going to say, to follow up, that it was John Hagee, the pastor of Cornerstone Church in San Antonio, who said that Katrina was because of gays.
Yeah, I remember that.
Some fucking mouth-breathing oxygen thief who's got some kind of dumb shit to say.
Douchebag just down the road from here. One of them. There's a few.
So the I was going to say that the weather control would be real convenient during droughts, but we only use it for hurricanes.
Is Lar-a-Lago on the western side of Florida or the Atlantic side?
It's in Palm Beach.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll bet you $10 that Donald Trump is sleeping on his couch in his gold-plated apartment in New York City because Melania won't let him in the bedroom with her because she's got her security guard guy in there.
Oh. The other things that kind of irritate me, and Admin V, when she gets irritated, can get a little ranty, is that people...
I'm sorry, you can get a little what?
Ranting.
With a T for tango, not D
Yeah.
for oh boy.
Yeah, yeah. So you misheard. You know me better than that.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. So I was going to say is that the discussions about how aid isn't getting to places in Western North Carolina, and one of my concerns about that is that the part of North Carolina that was hit is the size of the country of Belgium. And it's real hard to get to places where there are no roads. So they've got
They're using
several
helicopters. They're doing what they can, but
Yeah.
it's not quick. They were talking about how many of those are also private roads.
Yep.
That were washed out. So those aren't going
Like
to be. They're
driveways
going to
and
have to
stuff.
do them themselves.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's
I was muted. Can anybody hear me?
we can hear you now, Doug.
I'm sorry. I'm sitting there talking to myself as usual. I try not to do that in public. That's the problem. So only in private. So wait a minute. There's two things I gotta say, and that is, what's so indicative of this? Like, I really, you have to understand that the poor people who will not accept FEMA aid or think that they're stealing their stuff. That's a new one that went out. We can go over all of the conspiracy theories to debunk them, but those poor people, it's sad what's going to happen to them or what has happened. For everybody else, the idea that somehow they're just believing conspiracy theories because it's so pervasive and they don't know any better. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing that with one side of the brain or one side of the mouth, you can say, man's not causing climate change. And then say, man is controlling the weather. It's impossible for man to cause climate change because God is in control of the weather. God is the only one who can control the climate and the weather. How hubris of us to think that we're doing anything that could control the weather. That's God's domain. By the way, you're controlling the weather with the push of a button, making it do what you want despite God's will.
Like
You know what I'm saying? Like, the idea that any of those two things can make sense to you, the truth is, it's whatever you need to believe to feel good at night, to let the rich people win. Whatever you need to believe that your vote is somehow not about being a horrible, indecent person who's losing favor and power. And whatever it takes to get that back, you'll say and you'll believe. You're waiting for the next conspiracy theory. That's
and it. I hesitate to trace it back to this. I mean, obviously this shit goes all the way back to Reagan, if not further. But certainly goes back to like when we started having the Tea Party shit in 2009, 8 and 9 after Barack Obama ran for president and won, because these people are willing to believe anything if it supports their candidate. It is cultish, if you prefer, but culty.
It's so shocking how much they've bought into Trump, and the fact of turning it into like a Jesus-y, Christian-y God thing with him. It's like, why him? It really is shocking.
Yeah.
Because people didn't do that stuff with Reagan. I mean, they did. They thought he was godly, I guess, but it wasn't like that.
He wasn't actually the savior.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's because he just wasn't. He wasn't sociopathic enough. They've been waiting for Trump. That's the thing is.
Yeah, there was a lot of things.
Yeah, only Trump. Reagan at some point would have said that he lost an election.
Right,
but
people,
right,
who don't have that hubris, that don't have.
If the Heritage Foundation knew that that Reagan would be batshit crazy enough to to call himself Jesus, they would have been like, we got it. We got this.
Mm-hmm.
But just like what we heard them say, what was it? Incrementalism, extreme incrementalism.
Yep, and that's what they've been doing for 40 years.
So they'll take whatever they can get. It's just that Trump happens to be the first actual soulless creature with no empathy and no morals that will do anything and burn the world down for power and the ability to sleep with his daughter. And the fact that he's that debased and that sociopathic makes it so that they found someone who's willing to call themselves Jesus. Reagan wouldn't have. I believe the minute that they said that, the minute that Reagan did, there would have been a groundswell enough to make it happen, because humans have been doing it since forever, and they already chose their side. So that the reason why it's like, why Trump? Well, it's like it had to be someone who was that depraved. It had to be someone who's
Definitely
that sociopathic, that's willing to
the
go along
opposite
with
of Jesus.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm gonna give a book recommendation because that's what I do. Some of you I think Todd was mentioning in the chat that it started with like the Koch brothers. It actually goes further back than that. There's a great book called One Nation Under God by Kevin Kruse, that I keep recommending to everybody because it's fucking amazing. And it talks a lot about how corporate America hated Franklin D. Roosevelt
Yep.
enough that they started creating the Christian right so that they could have a controllable voting base. And, Billy Graham was a part of that. Eisenhower was a part of that. Nixon, all of those things. And it was literally, they would send sermon notes to pastors so that they could communicate the individual shit, because in the 1930s there were a lot of pastors out there who were basically socialists, and they figured if they could turn the pastors, they could turn the people. So recommend that book 1,000%, and I'll do a book review video on it at some point.
Wow. So, Admin Tim, I heard you say that you think that Trump is you guarantee that he's sleeping on the couch in New York.
Well, he's definitely not in
Melania's
Mar-a-Lago
No.
because Trump is a bitch-made coward and would not be in the state of Florida at all.
No way.
For any kind of weather incident.
But I
I also hate James Dobson. People in the chat, I hate him almost as much as I hate JD Vance.
Hold on. But I thought, hold on, guys. I thought that Trump, I thought he was wading the water.
The cats, right?
Did you see the picture? He's wading water with the people lifting up pets and dogs.
If he were the true Messiah, he would be walking on that water, not in that water.
Yep, exactly. And how many
true.
fingers does he have, Doug?
I know.
I for sure. Well, I mean, listen, when you're this dope, does it matter how many fingers you have? When you're this courageous.
Clearly, I am more superior than thee because I have 17 fingers.
You know,
and
I
you
thought
only
for
have
sure.
10.
I don't believe it, Tim. I don't believe it, Sarge. There's no way that he's in New York. He's handing out food and walking through waist-high water, saving the nation. You didn't know?
He's throwing paper towels. Didn't you know that's
I thought the
what he does
waters.
in
I thought the waters were just parting before him.
I can't believe he didn't part it. Who didn't think of that?
See, they're unimaginative in these things.
They're not.
They
good
go
at it,
part
are
of
they?
the seas before him.
You'd think.
So, gang, what do you think is the most damaging conspiracy theory, false information that is coming out of this?
Oh, it just. No.
I have personally heard all over the southeast PA
many people saying the FEMA's out of funds because the immigrants took all the money.
Yeah.
And numerous people saying it. People that are not necessarily even hardcore mega people who say, well, that's what everyone was saying. Everybody's been saying this. Everyone's saying this. And it has sure made people mad about these immigrants that are apparently
continuing,
stealing all the FEMA funds. Like there's a truck marked FEMA with giant $sign on bags that are just being taken out the back and run off with. It's cartoonish and it's so stupid, but it fits what they want to believe.
Yep, and never mind that the Republicans.
It adds to that.
Immigrants called on their Obama phone using the Kamala app excuse me, the Kamala app that has been installed on their Obama phone.
He was trying to say
to get their FEMA money bag. What the fuck?
They don't. It's just another example of they don't know how things work. They don't know how FEMA works and what the point of FEMA is and how they interface with the local authorities. And they're providing literally the emergency stuff, water, a little bit of cash to get yourself some food. That's what it is.
Temporary housing.
Coordinating that with local agencies and whatnot. It's not shocking because they don't know how things work. And also, there were people even saying it was $750 was a loan. I was like, what are you talking about?
No, that's a grant essentially, which means that you don't have to pay it back.
Hey, I saw people on my personal feed, people who are friends of friends or relatives, saying things like, if you sign up for, and this is, I have family in Florida, and they're saying things like, if you sign up for FEMA aid, FEMA can confiscate your land.
Right. I was hearing things going around like that too. And like the stuff he was saying was nonsense, but there were people that took it to an even another level, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know why this thing keeps muting. I'm sorry. So that's what I was going to say, Edmund, Matt. There was a city meeting, and I'm forgetting if it's North Carolina, I believe in North Carolina, where there are people saying that FEMA is going to take your house.
Yeah.
You no longer own your house. So if you try to go back in, you'll get arrested. And that's so damaging because people now are going to refuse the money that could save their life because in return, the soulless FEMA is going to take their house and land and whatever the little bit they have left. Like, what does that even do? What does that accomplish?
I think that's intentional. I think it totally is intentional, so that they will refuse help and then have that go the other way. Like, see, they're not going to take your help, and the state not wanting, like stupid DeSantis acting like he's not going to take any federal help. And
well, I think also they realize that the attention span of the American voter is very short and easily colored by the events around it. For example, when Hurricane Lee hit, it did a lot of damage in my area. And someone was just complaining, not yesterday, I guess it was the day before, about how we got no FEMA assistance from that, but FEMA money goes to all these other places and stuff. It's like, what are you talking about? FEMA was there with emergency relief supplies the second day. It took them a little bit because the roads were all destroyed, but they came in and they were on the ground. But legitimately, several of my neighbors who were absolutely there getting these things did not remember. And I believe they remember here that what people remember is they don't remember that they refused the FEMA help. They remember that the FEMA didn't help them. And that's the message they want to cultivate here, is that the government didn't help you. The government's never going to be able to help you.
Only we can help you.
Only the cult can help you.
Only Big Brother
took advantage of not having any.
And the cult is not part of the government, despite the fact that it is a cult of a government official.
Yep, and I would like to add one of the things I've been seeing for misinformation on FEMA on my personal page. I had somebody comment that.
I saw it.
Yeah, I figured you did. Comment that you needed if you had insurance, you couldn't get FEMA aid. That is not true. That is
No, that's not
absolutely not true. We had a 1,000-year flood in Columbia, South Carolina in 2015 where I live. And I talked to the FEMA. I would go to the library for writing events, and I would talk to the FEMA people that are there. Like they would absolutely help you, even if you had insurance. You just had to answer, "Do you have insurance?" So they could work with the insurance companies to provide aid because
Right.
They give stuff above and beyond what you're getting from your insurance company. And if it's a flood zone, they're probably going to give you most of it because a lot of these people didn't have flood insurance.
And to dovetail off of that about the effect this is having, mutual acquaintance of admin Tim and mine, a guy who does the voice acting actually for Poindexter, he's currently deployed out in North Carolina trying to do relief work. He's been there since the hurricanes first hit. And he's not a liberal guy, right? But he has had absolutely scathing things to say about the misinformation campaign because he says it's making their job unbelievably difficult out there. They constantly are having to combat misinformation. They're constantly having to deal with bullshit and things people are saying to them and being unwilling to accept aid and support because they think all these stupid things like their house will be taken away and stuff. And
welcome to our side of the spectrum, guy who's not a liberal.
Basically.
When you said a mutual acquaintance who does the voice acting for Poindexter, I was like, oh God, what the fuck did he say now? Because
he's that guy.
He's
an army veteran.
He's a veteran. He's a libertarian.
He is right leaning, yes, and I've had to mute him and some other people because they say shit, or they previously they used to say shit. I don't know what's going to happen after this because now that even the right wing is having to deal with combating this misinformation, it's like, y'all motherfuckers fostered this. You created this environment. This is you, Becky. You did this.
It's more of that word have you been?
Now you can fucking help clean it up, you fuckbags.
It's like the trees endorsing Kamala.
Yeah.
Like, okay, great. Where are you fucking been?
Yeah, I mean, he and the rest of the guys out there who are in his unit are just absolutely in the shit, in the heat. And everything he says about it just makes it sound like the most miserable experience you can imagine. And they're just trying to get like pallets off of fucking trucks. They're trying to get roads are gone. So they're, putting like, ropes across between places so they can move shit over to the other side. They even run in mule teams.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
these mule teams,
helicopters from Connecticut.
Something else that I saw is they took some flatbed trailers and they backed them down into the river, and with pretty fucking awesome dexterity, I don't know, coordination, whatever. They in other words, the trailers aren't like this, fucking they right back against each other, and then they took and put rocks as like a water break on either side of it, but not so that it dams it up. So now you can drive across the river.
Wow.
Across these flatbed trailers. And it's the level of redneck ingenuity that's going on up here it's pretty wild. Like there's some shit and you're like, huh.
Well,
that'll work.
You got to know that humans work best like under duress. Necessity is the mother of invention. You look at all the stuff that was done a million years ago, 10,000 years ago, and you're like, well, they didn't have electricity, they didn't have this and that, but it's like, bro, you can't do it because you do have electricity. If you give like 100 people nothing for a year and go back and see like what the hell they come up with, it would amaze you. It wouldn't be great. They would have lost half the population, but they would have come up with a lot of good stuff.
Lots of ingenuity.
It's amazing how ingenuity works like that.
You make do, right?
You make do. So there's something else that happened. And this is, I guess, to another part of that question, what else have we heard is wrong, or what the worst of these threats, the worst of these lies? Rolling Stone is saying that meteorologists are now getting death threats.
Oh, lovely.
Oh yeah.
Because it's their fault for shoot the messenger, right?
Well,
like
it's they won't tell the truth about the government weather control. So
I wonder why that is.
It becomes a snowball effect because the dumber you are, the bigger the conspiracy piece will fit together. As long as common sense goes out the window. So you get the Dunner-Kruger effect going on.
Something about Kroger donuts.
Donuts. The dumber the conspiracy theory is, the more obvious it seems to be false, the more likely they are to fall in and believe it because everyone's telling them it's false. Therefore, they must be lying to them.
Right. That's all based on that. It really is.
I saw
So much of
somebody's
their
post
stuff.
on. Oh, sorry. Proceed.
Elo, you have the floor.
So much of their stuff is totally based on, oh, that has to be ridiculous. That's so ridiculous. Who could believe that?
To the World Traveler 7, yeah, Atlas Shrugged is a bless their hearts kind of moment.
Yeah, and as we were talking about the kind of the thing that changed the minds of our mutual acquaintance on quite a few things, it brought to mind a friend of mine who was National Guard who got deployed to the Capitol during January 6th and previously been a Trump supporter. And I think that there's a level of when they're confronted with the undeniable, just it is there. They're experiencing firsthand that, oh, these guys really are crazy fucking lunatics that are trying to overthrow the government. Or, what, the government really is here putting out supplies for the hurricane. These idiots are saying things that are probably going to get people killed. That's a breaking point. And that seems to be the only thing that can really break someone of the cult, because they're in the bubble otherwise. If they're just sitting there on their social media feed, social media is going to feed them what they want to see. Right. They're going to see agreeing messages and sentiments that they can relate to. It's not until they encounter something out in the field where it can't be engineered, it can't be spun, it can't be taken and steered to some kind of way to be part of the message anymore. That's the only way they can realize this shit's real. This is happening.
So this is a common Republican or right wing way of thinking. This has just been forever. This is what causes every single problem in my community, right? In the Black community, in the immigrant community, who's lived here for longer than Trump has been around. The only thing that Republicans have ever cared about is when it hits them. Is the empathy is a bad word. Helping others is a bad word. You got to get your bootstraps up. I did it. Why can't you? Black Republicans make sure that they hate other Black folks because the ladder must be pulled up behind them. I did it. Why can't you? The poor people are morally corrupt because the only reason why I'm rich is because I'm a good person. The same people who are saying now, please stop the conspiracies. It's hurting us. It's destroying our communities. Can we please stop? Can we please stop? All the MAGA governors and mayors who are saying this, and the people who are giving them cover, I guarantee you, if it was not their state and their problem, they would be spreading the conspiracy. They would have the button on Cobra Commander Kai, right? Immediately. They would have it. They would show the picture of it and tweet it out. This is the case. For anybody who's listening, who I can't see who's talking down there, but for anybody who's listening, I want you to understand that 2 weeks ago, Ron DeSantis says that Kamala didn't call, blah, blah, blah. He can't get in touch with her. When the truth is, she called and he didn't answer because it's more important to try to make her not look good. So he's been talking with Biden instead of her when she calls. Just because if you say Kamala called, that Kamala called, then that means that she might win the election. I don't know, even in his own state. But I have to remind everybody that this same guy, Ron DeSantis, says he.
We lost
Oh,
you,
you're-
Doug. You're
muted.
muted.
Have I been muted the whole time?
No.
Okay.
It just
No. But wouldn't you be imagine if we just sat there and wrapped attention while you were muted the whole time?
But let's just see how far this guy goes. That would have been hilarious, actually.
We would be huge.
We would be such assholes.
For that.
But anyway, Ron DeSantis says they have been under wraps for 2 weeks in high what do we call it? High alert mode for 2 weeks.
Yep.
It just turns out that you mean 2 weeks ago when they could have passed in the House and the Senate more funding for FEMA.
Yep.
Like while you're sitting there in the muck, Ron DeSantis is the actual worst. Like he's willing to sell his mother, guaranteed. His kid do whatever it is. Like he's already did that in a commercial, didn't he? Like he already hoarded out his entire family in a commercial and was reading them Trump books, Make America Great Again. I don't know if you remember those commercials. So he could win. But here's a list of the House of Representatives that voted against giving more money to his state. They come from Florida, people. Aaron Bean of Florida. Gus Billerack of Florida. Kat Kamak of Florida. Byron Frick Donalds of Florida. Matt Frickin' Gates of Florida. Laurel Lee of Florida. Corey Mills of Florida. Mike Waltz of Florida. Daniel Webster of Florida. Anna Paulina Luna of Florida. Bill Posey of Florida. All Republicans that voted against giving more money while they go on the X, that they go on Twitter and say, why don't we have enough money for this?
Yep. And Mike Johnson, the House leader, who is a Seven Mountains mandate believer, just so you know. I've got my red yarn right next to me, so I'm ready for the conspiracy theory. He is refusing to vote to give more money to the Small Business Administration to give low interest loans to small businesses in affected areas like Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And he's refusing to come back in and vote. To
That's who's running out of money.
He said that they can wait till after the election. I got it on video here. I figured I'd have that pulled up ready in case somebody wanted to see it. The man, in his own words, says, we'll be back right after the election. It's only 30 days.
Well, Biden had said at one point, no, that's not. Yeah, no. They need help now.
I mean,
keep in mind that vote was on September 25th, so we're not exactly talking about something that was like way in the back of the summer, and no one realized how bad it was going to be. It was right at the precipice of this.
Yep,
we knew what was going to happen. Basically, that this storm was the Helene was going to be bad, and then we found out that we're going to have another one right behind it. Didn't care.
No, we'd rather give death threats to the weatherman. Let's kill the weatherman and keep those people who voted against money for FEMA. Giving money to FEMA.
Their districts are so gerrymandered that
they're not going to lose.
No matter what they do, their constituents are never going to vote them out.
Yep, that's the same here in South Carolina. Like we have had a chance, and this is Vicky getting on her soapbox. I apologize. One of the things that I was working on a few years ago with an organization here in South Carolina was trying to get a people's election committee, right? Where you would, they have it in Michigan, they have it in California, they have it in a couple of other states, where you have to draw the lines so that you have roughly an equal amount of voters in each district. Now, there obviously some districts will be 60% Republican and some would be more Democratic, right? And the idea is that you would get a committee of like jury stuff, like people would be called for jury duty to draw these lines after the census every few years. And the idea is that they would do it in such a way that the politicians weren't drawing their own boundaries, right?
Right.
And this would be for not just like our federal houses, but also for our state houses and stuff like that. Right now, the politicians in South Carolina, I can't speak for other states, I can only speak for South Carolina. Our elections are less fair than Soviet Russia. Like, there are some places where nobody runs against the other candidate because they know that there's no way they can win because due to technology, the politicians can pick down to the house. Like, they know this person typically votes in the Republican primary, right? Must mean they're a Republican, right? So they know down to the house where they are, so they draw around those things to make sure they don't lose.
And then
these districts that look like straight up amoebas, just like, put a tail there, put a dick there.
There's states that are doing it right, and Colorado is one of those states. I listened to a story where they talked about what they do, and it's like it's as nonpartisan as they can make it.
Yeah, ironically, Mississippi is pretty good as well. They have like redrawn districts in a roughly fair manner, and like I said, definitely Hi, Mikey. We also like it. But yeah, I agree. Like places like California, Michigan, Mississippi, Colorado, and other places are trying to make their districts very fair. There's a couple of terms that I think everybody should know because this is who I am. Crack and pack. That is what they do in South Carolina. What that means is like they will pack all likely Democratic voters into one district. That's what they've done with the Jim Clyburn district. I voted in Jim Clyburn's district in Florence County. 2 hours down the road in Columbia, I was also voting in Jim Clyburn's district. I am now in the worst district in the planet, and I try not to think about him. But I hate him so much, and I cannot think of his name. Joe something, whatever his name is. I hate him. Anyway, the other one is like by crack. That means you take like Columbia, South Carolina is a very Democratic city, right? Like 80 in the county of Richland County, 80% of the people vote Democratic, right? Like we have a lot of affluent people of color. We have a lot of really educated people. We have a couple of universities. It's just the typical Democratic voter in South Carolina lives in Columbia, but they have split it up. So we have three different. They have cracked us, and they put us with like Lexington County voters and like other Kershaw County voters, so that they absolutely will never get a Democratic county out of a Democratic representative out of Richland County.
So one thing that we didn't touch on here is the other effect of this kind of gerrymandering is that you effectively have no room to the center during primaries. There's only room to the extreme. And the result is that the person who's going to come out of there is whichever candidate of the two or three or whoever's running the primary is the furthest to the right, the furthest to the left.
They
so you end up with
themselves.
Right. They have to find room for the right. They have to come out as pro-slavery, or we need to set up concentration camps, or women, they're basically property right. That's where we've gotten in our politics. Is that it has gotten further over and further over and further over.
There's no actual discourse.
Exactly. And there's no room for compromise because any compromising of it is going against basically a biblical sense of moral values now that have come in for these views. So if you're willing to compromise, like you're going against God, right?
Yep.
So there's no room to compromise with God. You're either doing what God wants or you're not, and there are consequences for those who don't. So we have set up this incredible extreme in our politics that is shifting us further and further out. And it will not change until that system of gerrymandering changes. It just can't.
Yep. And in South Carolina, because we don't have people running against each other in the general election, like 8% of the voters pick something like 92% of our state representatives. So
Yes.
it is very undemocratic down here. And again, I don't know that a lot of people understand the politics of what's going on down here in the South and in other Republican places like Wyoming, Admin Elo. And it's just incredible.
The thing that's incredible to me is still, I'm still waiting for like the other shoe to drop somehow when it comes to people voting against their own best interest. That the poor people who are voting against aid, you know, they're voting for people that are against aid for anything, but even emergencies, let alone any other kind of aid. In Wyoming, it's just, well, okay, the one thing that's pissing me off these days is alternative forms of energy. The state is very dependent, for decades has been dependent on oil and gas. So they should have been diversifying their economy decades ago, because it's always a boom bust type of economy. But they haven't done that. So they're still depending on oil and gas, to the point of, even though diversifying, energy sources is beneficial for them, they've got a lot of sun, they've got a lot of wind, I can attest to it. There's lots of ways they could diversify it and make it less taxing, so necessary that you get all that oil and gas. They don't want it. They don't want it, even though it's actually better for everybody. And there are also, guess what? There's also jobs in all those alternative forms of energy too, but they don't want to hear it, because the only jobs that exist to them are oil and gas. So it's definitely, and the state is so dependent on that. It's against everyone's best interest for employment and for income and for opportunities to come to the state. But they haven't tried to get anything. They voted against movie, film and TV tax breaks to anybody who comes in. I don't watch any shows that say they're set in Wyoming, TV or movies. They're not filmed in Wyoming. They won't let them in.
Yeah,
nonsense.
That is the same thing as the gerrymandering, right? So when you say you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, well, here it is. Here it is. Like you realize that the same people who need it the most, the poorer neighborhoods, which are usually built in lower altitudes, right? Just like Katrina, just like everywhere else in poor Georgia, if you're not in the mountains, you're in a valley. Georgia is nothing but a mountain and valley, right? We don't have one straight road in the state. Everything is like this. So those same people, hear the conspiracy theories or realize, just like how you say, well, climate change cannot be man-made because God. You also listen to someone who says Democrats are controlling the climate because of the devil. It doesn't
with their
have
Jewish space lasers.
The Jewish space lasers. This woman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, is the one who goes on and says, we all know that they can control the weather. But by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, Republican, voted against the FEMA funding. So instead of voting for the FEMA funding, she instead blames Cobra Commander. Right? She instead blames the superhero comic book, and she will
Lex Luthor.
She'll still get voted for. And just so I can say their names, Andrew Clyde of Georgia, Mike Collins, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Rich McCormick, all of Georgia. And I know at least two of them I've seen Collins sit there and tweet about this conspiracy because it's easier to talk about the conspiracy than it is to talk about your voting record. And so when the other drops, instead of holding them accountable, what they're going to do is give death threats to the weatherman. They will die. The only way that some of these people will be turned is when they're dead or when they kill somebody else, because it's impossible for them to see the names that I just said and believe that they were the ones who voted for the wrong side. It's
having to admit they were wrong.
Right. It's too hard to do that.
Having to be responsible for their own misery.
They're responsible.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The thing is also, lastly, I'm on a little soapbox here too. The thing about it, lastly, is the fact that it's your religion. You go to church in Georgia on any random corner because they're everywhere. If you find a liquor store, you're gonna find a church right there, guaranteed. And
Pastor's got a side hustle.
Right. And every single Sunday, their worth in heaven, their religious worth, their soul, their afterlife is tied to the R. So when you see them change their mind about this or that, it's not because they don't want wind energy. It's because God told them that wind energy is bad until God says it's good. The minute that it's okay, just like they did with Trump,
You're muted again, Doug.
Thank you. There's absolutely nothing conservative plan for 40 years that Trump has gone along with except giving tax cuts to the rich. Since when?
It's closer to 100, Doug. 100 years they've been working on this.
So, but even just think about the things that you used to love. Well, we're against Russia. We're against authoritarians. Not anymore.
I can't believe the Russia thing. I still am just so galled about that one.
No.
There is absolutely so many things that they've just completely turned their back on.
Yes.
And because it has to do with the fact that this fear of an afterlife. Once Trump says it, the preacher says it. And then when the preacher says it, that means that, oh, well, of course I always thought that our elected officials can screw porn stars. It's like Simon.
Mike has opinions.
Oh, it's like this person in the Bible or that person or David. David was the sinner. When it was Clinton, he is the Antichrist. Period. And we cannot have somebody with those low morals in the place. Russia, the foreign all foreign policy, defending freedom, defending democracy. Well, we don't want that many wars. No many war. You were the war hawks. No. You were Halliburton. You don't remember? Like, so the shoe's already dropped. There is no other shoe that's going to drop. What it is the only way to make this stop here, and is first call this out everywhere we can. Call out the lies as much as possible. But on the other hand, we've got to get this list of 105 Republicans out of office, and out of Twitter and out of office.
Doug, is Joe Wilson on that list? Can you look for me?
Where's he from?
South Carolina. He's District 2, South Carolina.
No.
Well, he voted for the aid. That's a miracle. Joe Wilson is the guy I was talking about, by the way.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me just make sure, because that was all House. Like, let me look at my Senate list.
Oh, Joe Wilson is on the House, so don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't see him. He's not on the list, so he voted for the aid.
Oh, good for him.
Well, that's nice to know. I was gonna say, some of the people in the chat have been talking about, like, how do we stop this gerrymandering? And honestly, we need a national voting rights bill to do it, because we can't do it from our local areas. we don't have the political will. So we absolutely need a national voting rights bill, much like 1964 when they gave the rights back to people of African American descent and Black voters, etc. We need that again. We need something like that. And I think I saw somebody else in the chat talk about Lee Atwater. I have another recommendation for you. This time for a movie. There is a PBS documentary called Boogeyman that was made about 20 years ago about Lee Atwater. It is fucking amazing. I cannot tell you how much it is. And I grew up in the 1980s. So, like, the first election I remember is that 1984 governor's election they talk about in there, where, and I kid you not, this is very Robert Kennedy Jr. strategy stuff, but like in the South Carolina's governor's race that Carol Campbell had Lee Atwater running, they brought in that he was running against a popular Jewish mayor in Columbia. This Jewish mayor was looking like he might win, and they brought in a third-party candidate that was Christian to make the race about Jesus. So like this Jewish mayor was being asked questions about did he believe in Christ and everything like that. And it was so annoying. But when you look at something like that and you look at national politics, you can see where the breadcrumbs start. So I really recommend hunting down that documentary. It's called Lee Atwater, The Boogeyman. It's the Lee Atwater story, something like that. Really interesting and entertaining and so informative if you want to understand modern American politics, because Lee Atwater was friends with W. Lee Atwater was friends with Karl Rove. Lee Atwater was friends with a lot of those politicians that led up to the George W. Bush era. And into the, like, Roger Stone is in the video. Like, I don't know if y'all remember him. He went to jail after he did something wrong during the Trump thing. It's fascinating.
He's the guy who dresses like the Penguin and acts like an evil, like the actual evil,
Like
what do you call it? Super villain. Yeah, that's him.
He does come across that.
There's
some background on that. He went to jail because he was part of a scam ripping off Trump supporters for money, and then Trump pardoned him for it.
Was he doing the wall thing where they were taking money for the wall?
He was part of the wall thing.
Yeah.
He also lied to Congress as well. There was a bunch of things Trump pardoned him.
There's more from the Lee Atwater lineage too. So Lee Atwater basically from Nixon, right? From the Nixon administration, the whole media arm was someone named Roger Ailes.
Yep.
And they so
I'm listening to the Slow Burn podcast this season is on the rise of Fox News.
Really? So there you go. Nixon says, hey, you know what? I all of this stuff, all this corruption is only getting put out because we don't have a media arm of our own. Like, we don't have people who will just say what we want to say. A few years later, that same person that was head of the media for him, for Nixon, meets a guy named Rupert Murdoch, and Rupert says, well, listen, I'm already controlling stuff in Australia. Why don't we do it over there where you are? So he puts Roger Ailes in charge. Roger Ailes finally gets to fulfill the wishes of Nixon, although he's no longer president, goes right up under Reagan to do it. And it's the exact same idea. Well, you know, we know that we can control you through the church, and we can control you after church once you come home.
And the weather.
And the weather, right? But only when it helps rich people. We don't control the weather when it's hurting you. You can't control the weather when rich people are getting rich. But if it's hurting you, then believe it, Democrats are controlling it. Guaranteed. Push of a button, that easy.
Yep. Y'all
we
should
don't.
know that all of y'all here on the screen and in the comments, y'all are my people. I just need to know how educated and much I'm enjoying this conversation.
Thank you. You guys are. That's why I'm here, is because you guys are my people. I love it.
Admin Jin says she's still hanging on.
She said the divorce is supposed to be done by 2 o'clock, so maybe then she can go to bed.
Where is she? Is she?
She's in Tampa.
She's in Tampa.
They decided to hunker down. Nope, mute.
Doug, mute.
I saw your lips moving.
Got you. Got you.
I see the lips moving, but I can't make out the words. Oh,
Do you guys
damn.
mind if I there's someone who's in Georgia who we've been trying to help, and I want to read. Can I? Do you guys mind if I read a little thing for you here?
Do it up.
She sent me the text. We were trying to do a little fundraiser for her. I know that this isn't the place for that. I can give you my email if you want to help, but this is what we're dealing with. Bruce, which is Bruce Lively. That's what they. I don't know what I am. That's my hip hop name, I guess. I don't know. I'm in Augusta, Georgia. We haven't had any power. There's no food. We have to get a ride just to look for anything. If there are any resources that you can help us out with, or know where we can find them. I did a little bit of that helping. The next day, no stores or gas stations are open. Food and water are scarce. I just got my oxygen company to deliver me some oxygen tanks this morning. My doctor's office and pharmacy are closed. Hospitals are not letting anyone in. They have armed guards at every door. The Red Cross Salvation Army aren't helping, and I'm not sure why, but we'll leave that some for another time.
Is that in Augusta, Doug?
This is in Augusta, Georgia.
That's pretty close to me. If she needs to talk to somebody, I've got people down in that area.
I really, really appreciate that, because that's why I'm doing this. It basically, it's just, it goes on like that for more, right? And as of yesterday, she says that she hasn't eaten in 2 days. So we finally got her some money, but I'm not going to do that on here. What I am going to do, if I could, is say politicaldrain@gmail.com. Anybody who wants to help out with this person, please just email donate. Email the word donate, whatever. Just email it, and I can give you her Cash App. I can give you the PayPal. There's many different ways you receipt it. So she needs help down there in Augusta, Georgia. They're both disabled, she's in need of oxygen. Her husband was in an accident years ago, and they're on the edge. And instead of spreading conspiracy theories, and we can laugh about it, I figured I would at least give out my email address for anyone who wants to help that family. Just email donate to politicaldrain@gmail.com. And we can
Doug,
go.
if I need to drive down there this weekend, just let me know. I will take her a load of groceries.
Wow. Outstanding. Well, I will actually be texting that to her now.
Yeah.
We'll talk some more. We can talk after as well. So
Kim knows how to get in touch with me.
That's what we're here to do, right? So I figured I'd say that. Thank you for letting me say that too, guys.
Absolutely. That reminds me, next week we're going to be talking with, or I'm going to be talking, I don't know if we're going to do a live stream or just an interview video. We'll be talking with Justine Lobello, who has an 8-year-old son named Kevin, who has a terminal illness and is in the final stages of it. And it's an incurable illness. So I reached out to her, and she's going to talk to us about that type of disease and try to raise some awareness for it. So if anybody needs their heartstrings tugged on even more, I got something for you.
Thank you. Hold on. Say goodnight to my son. I'll be right back.
Okay. So let's talk about some things that we have coming up with Sons of Liberty. Admin Tim and I, and Admin Elo and Admin Matt, and we're talking about starting a podcast. We have some topics that we're kind of ready to do. We are looking at investigating what we need to do to set that up. That's actually my project this weekend. So hopefully, maybe that interview admin Tim does can be one of our first podcast episodes. What do you think, Tim?
I'm down to make it a podcast. We can do the Ben Stiller.
Ben Tillman. Just so you know.
Who's Ben Stiller? Ben Stiller's that fucking comedian guy, right?
Yeah. Ben Tillman, for those of y'all who are watching us, is the person who created South Carolina's mess. He wasn't alone in doing it, but he certainly participated very heavily. And I will drive. He has a statue on the state grounds that I drive to regularly to flip off. I do it on International Women's Day because.
Who are we flipping off? I want to flip somebody off.
Ben Tillman, statue at the Columbia State House. You're welcome to come flip him off with me. Exactly. I drive there on International Women's Day and go to the statue, flip him off, and drive home. It's a 30-minute drive one way for me to do that, but it's worth it.
And listen, you've got to. It's a mental health thing. You've got to take care of your mental health. Don't be ashamed.
That's self-care.
Self-care.
Expressing my anger.
Yeah.
Speaking of potential upcoming stuff, I've been trying to coordinate between Tim's schedule and a couple of buddies of mine who they're part of the Green Berets that go over to Ukraine to teach demining and other tactics to the Ukrainian military to help them deal with the Russian explosives and IEDs. The Russians just been littering everywhere, and I'm hoping to arrange an opportunity to get them on to talk about the work they do and veterans charity work they do as well. It's pretty a little hard. It's a little hard to get everybody coordinated on it because they're zipping all over the place, and Tim's not exactly completely open because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. But hopefully we can make that happen too.
I mean, if we start doing regular streams, I mean, like this could be our podcast. So
yeah, absolutely. And I could present my Ben Tillman thing to everybody, and we can comment on it together. It's very exciting. I've written a script like a few years ago for a podcast I was going to start myself, mostly because it was right after Elizabeth Warren was censored in the in the Senate, because like she was talking about what's his face. He was the attorney general for a while, Jeff something. He was from Alabama. Anyway,
the Keebler Elf guy,
Jeff Sessions, exactly. Like she was insulting him.
He had a hat though.
Yeah. The reason that rule exists, and we'll talk about it in the podcast, is because of Ben Tillman. He beat up the South Carolina junior senator, and it was two South Carolina senators fighting each other. There have been two fights on the Senate floor, and South Carolina has been involved in both of them. And
I was going to say Charles Sumner.
It has, and one of them were two South Carolina senators fighting each other. So they created a rule that you're not allowed to speak badly of your fellow senators. And I wrote that right after that happened, so I'm
Cornyn
excited.
and Cruz. That's all I have to say.
You know what though?
Cornyn and Cruz.
I want to rethink that way of thinking. Has anybody seen the British Parliament?
Question time?
I have.
Like, they go ham. Like
they do.
There's no decorum. There's no maybe if. These people are like, well, the lady over there might just be a damn fool, an idiot, or a horse face. I don't know which one I'd rather call her. And people are like, oh, hey,
and they're all yelling.
Oh, this guy has a dick the size of a tadpole. Oh. And it's like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, maybe we need that level of honesty. Maybe we've been curtailed by this this, what is it, veil of decency and the honorable so and so. Like, I'm tired of calling some people honorable. I'm not sure that Ted Cruz is honorable.
I don't think he is.
That he deserves.
They use it sarcastically in Parliament, though.
That's like one of the main,
gentle lady from Kent.
one of the big reasons why I would never run for office, aside from the fact that I have a misspent youth. I would get on the floor and they'd be like, "You have to follow these rules of decorum," and I would be like,
No. Well, listen, if Trump
the motherfucker from Alabama.
Yeah. If Trump taught us anything, it's that whole decorum stuff only works for the people who are oppressed. I mean, only works for the people who are doing the oppression, because
Jeff
there's
Sessions
never.
and Elizabeth Warren.
What do you say?
Jeff Sessions and Elizabeth Warren. She was reading a letter written by Martin Luther King's widow, and that's what got her censured.
Right. It only works for the oppressor, like this decorum, because when you're the bully, or when you're, the party that's expected to be horrible, you can just say anything, and the only people who seem to want to keep up this decorum are, excuse my French, well, it won't be French, the feckless Democrats. And I think they're finally maybe starting to learn that, oh, maybe we can fight back, and maybe they're not decent people all on the other side.
We're calling them weird now.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that works.
Nope.
But
they don't like it, so it definitely works.
Yeah.
They're getting really butthurt about it, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, that is pretty good. I do like that.
It could be anything, but it just turned out to be weird.
Because it is weird. He was 100% right in that. It is weird.
It is. Tim Walz went to college with one of my high school teachers, because it's just around the corner from where I grew up. So he really does, he's so Nebraska sounding, like the way he talks. That he's not from Minnesota. That is.
Oh, really?
That is Nebraska right there. Yeah.
Got the inside scoop there.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's not surprising. One of my teachers, pretty young, when we were in high school. Yeah, that's because he went to college with him at Shattern.
Awesome.
Yeah, my favorite thing is when Tim Walz was asked about his religion, he told him, "I'm Lutheran. I don't talk about that." And I just thought that was hilarious.
It's Lutheran, very Lutheran of him.
I like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So
I wouldn't mind putting on a powdered wig and seeing a little more activity in the house. That's not just about foolishness. The only people, like the idea that because MTG yelled out, "You're this," or "You're lying," or blah blah blah, and all the people who started yelling since Obama, you know what? Fine. Let's do that. Let's do that then. Let's just see, if the people need, if that's what we need to get, what is it, like the 40 or 30% of the population that can vote but still doesn't, if that's what we need to get them interested, because they, like me, see this facade of nothingness, of nothing really mattering, of all the stuff that seem to be like things that other people die and march about. You stand up and speak softly and call them the gentle person. Maybe if it was a little more realistic and exciting, people would pay more attention. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't speak to them.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that if anything, the last 10 years basically now have taught us is that our system of government needs a number of new rules in place to prevent this level of fuckery from ever getting this wild again.
Yeah.
Rules for the presidency, rules for Congress, actual rules for the Supreme Court, because God knows they need some.
Rules that can be enforced.
Yeah. What's that?
Right.
Oh, it's my $280,000 RV that my friend who has business before the court just gave me.
I didn't disclose any of this because it's not.
I didn't talk about before ruling in his favor. I mean, anywhere else we call that a bribe, but
That's why it's critical that we get everybody to go out and vote, regardless of whether or not they think it's a sure thing. Don't think it's a sure thing, because it's not. We saw that in 2016. Get your ass out there and vote. And it's not just voting for the president, it's voting up and down the ballot at the local and the state levels. It's not just the president. It affects the House, the Senate, at the local level, your state governments. I mean, and it's going to determine the Supreme Court for the next generation or so.
That's why I cried the day after the election in 2016, because I knew the Supreme Court was gone.
So there's another motivator here. Say you're in Cali, right? Say that you know for a daggone fact that everything's going blue your way. It's not even about the vote it's not even about voting for that person winning or losing. In places like Georgia, it's over with. It's going to be a hand count, guaranteed. It's already the law. Now they're going to
anywhere it's
counting
close.
in Georgia. So what that means is, if it comes down to this state or that state, and Georgia happens to be one of them, it will challenge. It will have to go to the Supreme Court. And the 6 people in the Supreme Court now, if you think they won't send it to the House to be voted on who becomes president, you're wrong. So guess what? The only way that you can get someplace like Georgia negated, because it's over here. We not as far as the numbers, but as far as that election night, now that it's hand counted, it's a guarantee screw in the process. But the only way to make sure that if it comes down to somewhere else and then Georgia sends it to the Supreme Court, that the Supreme Court can't mess us up, is if the popular vote is so overwhelmingly distorted that it would be seen as a travesty of justice to do so. So because you won in Cali by 100,000 votes, if
lost your audio.
If you won by 500,000 votes instead of 200,000 votes, that goes to the Supreme Court along with these hand counts in Georgia.
Yep.
So we need you to vote. If you're in a blue place and you know that you don't have to, we still need you to add that number, because there's fuckery going on. Yep. And their whole goal is to cause enough gook in the system so that it has to be, so that when there's a challenge, which there will be, because there's a hand count for millions of people on one night, there will be, but it won't get any further than the Supreme. It won't get any further than our own court if the popular vote is so daggone overwhelming you can't take it. We need you here in Georgia. We need you. If you're in a blue state and you know, we need you to vote anyway. We need one more notch. We need one more notch. So that's another motivator.
We need states like Georgia. Like this past election, Georgia was a surprise. We didn't expect Georgia to go blue. And we need more states like that. So we need, Admin Matt is in Southeast Pennsylvania. We need Pennsylvania, and we need Georgia, and we need all those places. And maybe one or two that we didn't expect to go blue.
It is going to be close.
Happen.
Yeah, it's going to be very close.
I'm just curious, because I remember I probably said it on here before, when driving home, listening to NPR 2016 election night, and them just sitting there like going, how did we not see this coming? That's what you got to think of as far as this goes. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. Therefore, you have to go balls out, because we don't know. And you better make damn sure of what you can control, which is what you do. And get everybody to go.
It struck me.
The right way.
I had to go pick up my dog from daycare today, and on my way home, I'm passing by this one property, big house, and it's got a million Trump things in front of it. And there's these 2 old guys out front, and they're putting in metal stakes, the pylons, to support a gigantic Trump thing. So it wasn't enough he's got 50 on his property already. He needs another gigantic thing.
He needs a big one.
Like, people are digging in here.
Of course he needs a big one.
Of course they're scared.
He flies it. Really is in violation of code for this because he flies a Trump flag above his American flag there, which is a particular disservice since he also flies flags saying is a Marine Corps veteran, so you should damn well know better that no flag goes above the American flag. But you know,
My dad
I'm not
would
going
be
to
so
get on my
mad.
soapbox.
He's a Trump supporter, and he would be mad at that.
Nobody flies the Texas flag lower than the U.S. flag here. Just saying.
Yeah, well,
even when the ROTC kids carry out the flags at the high school football games, they carry it the same. They don't make a point. You're supposed to carry the Texas flag lower. They don't. Because Texas. But speaking of Texas, it's been very enjoyable because Ted Cruz has been scared enough to make a bunch of ads. So they alternate Ted Cruz ads and then Colin Allred ads back and forth all the way through commercial breaks.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of Bob Casey versus Dave McCormick, which is kind of wild because McCormick lives in Connecticut, but he's running for the PA Senate. Turns out he's got a vacation home in the Poconos, so that technically makes him legal to run for the Senate here, which is crazy in my mind. But here we are. You can't find any Republican who's actually from Pennsylvania to run for the seat. So they're going to import one from Massachusetts or Connecticut, wherever the hell he's from, who could never win in his own state, but he's going to come down here and try to win it. They did the same thing with running Dr. Oz, who lives in New Jersey, to run against John Fetterman for the last election cycle, and it was the same kind of issues. It was a candidate who very clearly isn't from here, doesn't know anything about the area. He just wants a seat, and he's going to try to buy it.
Yep.
It drives me nuts.
Right. Just has the letter attached to his name.
Yeah. And it's running a very close poll as far as the numbers were last I saw, which I think was yesterday. But they're basically in a dead heat.
Because it's all about us versus them. It doesn't even matter.
It is. They don't care. They need another vote in the Senate to push their Supreme Court nominees.
They're going to do their best. Well, our state races are that Greg Abbott is mad that he didn't get his school vouchers passed. So we ran around the whole state and targeted all of the Republican state senators who didn't vote for it, including mine, and put some idiots out there so that they could win. And mine lost. My incumbent lost. So I don't know what's going to happen.
And school vouchers are so fucking stupid.
So stupid.
They're so fucking stupid.
And they haven't funded, they're not even starting out with having funded the public schools properly for a long time. And then they're trying to add vouchers on. So that's what he was doing, was holding the public school funding hostage unless these guys would vote for the vouchers. It was like it had to be both of them. And they said, no. So here we are. It's not going to go well, I have a feeling.
I'm worried about our state races too here in PA, especially because we are obviously it's close election, battleground state. Polls all say everything's close. It's close both in the presidential and Senate races, but even the other down ballot races. And PA is so close to having a total abortion ban. And right now, the only thing standing in the way is that the GOP, I think, is 2 votes under controlling the state legislature on the House side, and they don't control the governorship, and the governor has been willing to veto any of the nonsense they push through. But that can change. That can change real quick with this election. They don't need a whole lot more votes, at least on the Senate side, to override a majority. Get an override of the veto. And then they just need 2 seats on the House side to flip that. So I'm very concerned.
I'm gonna be honest, it's a hellscape out here. We should be concerned, and we need to educate our friends and neighbors. Gonna be honest, that's one of the reasons I came onto the Sons of Liberty page, because I thought it would be a good place for me to do that. But we really need to talk to our friends and neighbors and make sure they understand what is going on. There are so many people who are uneducated about these political things that we eat, sleep, and breathe among our group here. and we have to make sure they understand what they're doing. I grew up evangelical. I make Tim say stuff in his rants all the time about it. That's my thing. And I can tell you that all of this shit is a plan for at least the last 45 years. And people believe it because their preacher, their political organizations, other religious people that they respect say it. And it's not, they do not understand that they're being manipulated. They think they really will go to hell if they vote for a politician who doesn't oppose abortion. You know, I mean, I can't explain it enough because it was very clear to me as a child that being gay, you know, was something
you straight to hell.
that was a choice, and they just wanted to sin, you know.
Yeah.
And it's bullshit. It's all been bullshit from the beginning, and I got very angry when I started seeing through the bullshit, and I have made it my personal mission to talk to evangelicals specifically about what is going on. And it's one of the reasons I read a lot of stuff that I read. It's one of the reasons I watch a lot of the documentaries I watch. I need to understand how we got here. And I really encourage the rest of you to start doing that same education and informing the people around you.
It's because once it gets into to God is the ultimate permission structure, and it allows you to set up dictates of what you can and can't do, and anyone who's outside your structure is just absolutely below contempt. And it's so absolute that even the idea of questioning it is questioning God, and which you train from a young age, you can't do. So it becomes an ideal tool of control to steer you into whatever politics that particular religious venue wants.
I got something hot off the press from Cobra Commander here, and just to take it back to the hurricane and FEMA.
The Baroness is under my desk, by the way.
Yeah. You're not talking about Mikey, are you?
No. Mikey is back there on the couch.
So here it is, FEMA and the true conspiracy theories. It goes like this. For anyone else who really, really believes or is being told that FEMA is taking or doesn't have the money, or you need Trump to take care of it as he wades through that water to save the cat. I want you to remember that as you're voting and as you're convincing others to vote who've been through this tragedy, that if they need more help from FEMA, Project 2025 on page 154 says, FEMA currently has 4 Senate confirmed positions. Only the administrator should be confirmed by the Senate. Other political leadership need not be confirmed. Page 135 says, the bloated DHS bureaucracy and budget, along with the wrong priorities, provide real opportunities for a conservative administration to cut billions in spending and limit government's role in Americans' lives. These opportunities include TSA and FEMA.
Lovely.
Reforming FEMA emergency spending to shift the majority of preparedness and response costs to the states and localities instead of federal government, eliminating most of DHS's grant programs, and removing all unions in the Department of our National Security. Page 135. Page 154 says, FEMA reached its borrowing authority limit. These subsidies and bailouts only encourage more development in flood zones, increasing the potential losses to both NFIP and the taxpayer. So, as you're voting, if you live in one of those places that will undoubtedly have more hurricanes, because I'm going to go out on a limb and a guess here and say more are coming next year.
Oh, absolutely.
Year
Yeah.
after.
Bigger ones too,
Yes,
probably.
definitely.
I think we're not far away from getting a Category 6.
Well, I mean, even if we weren't, just for the past million years, hurricanes have come every year somewhere. And I guarantee you that the next person who gets into office will either reject or accept this Project 2025, who wants to get rid of FEMA altogether, privatize it. And if you think you're going to owe your house now to the government, FEMA, that's not doing that, there's a high likelihood that if it's privatized, you will. It's a
Yeah,
high.
they just wanted everything to be laissez-faire, like, you know, like everybody, like, let things go, that capitalism takes care of everything, and that they're not going to keep people from building along the coastlines. They're not going to do anything to prevent that. It's going to just keep going the way it is.
They're just going to turn FEMA into a payday cash lending system. This is what we're telling you people. Like, understand that those people who've got those conspiracy theories, the best thing that the Republicans have ever done is talk about the things that they do or want to do and make it seem like the other side is doing it. When you hear these weird conspiracy theories about how you're going to owe your house to such and such, and you're wondering where does this come from, it's projection. Because written inside of the document, page 154, 135, and 154 and 135, it outlines it.
It's a philosophy they have of dismantling
and
government agencies,
dismantling
the Department of Education, dismantling these things.
Yep, and they've had it for again. I would like to go back to my book recommendation.
It's a long time.
Since
it's just
FDR. This has been the plan.
Compiling it into one document.
So this has been a few. What would they say? A lot of different brain trusts. Hold on, guys.
Go ahead. You get it
from Augusta. Hold on, I'll be back.
Yeah. So they left us alone. I guess we are going to get control, gang. What do y'all want to do, Matt and Ilo?
Let's start making the hurricane do like wheelies out in the parking lot of one of the Waffle Houses.
That would be fun. Little donuts.
Is it like a joystick? You can move it around.
Yeah.
That's what I assume. I have to go to Tim.
No,
he's got the
it's a trackball.
Oh, a trackball.
That is the more evil form of control, so that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't have mice on either of my computers. A mouse. I have trackballs. That's just my.
Yeah, I can tell you that being from the South, I learned to drive in my school parking lot, but my daddy wouldn't let me cut donuts when I went practicing driving.
Jen says they finally lost power.
I thought maybe because I didn't hear back from her. I sent her something a little bit ago, and I didn't hear back from her. I thought she might be trying to conserve
battery.
She can't go out. I mean, the only thing they'll be able to do is go try to charge it in the car eventually, but they don't want to go out now.
Somebody earlier in chat asked how we all met for the Sons of Liberty stuff. And I'm going to tell you that,
I just
that
said,
Tim and I went to high school together.
We were, of course, all press
Hey guys,
in the service.
Can I have Becky say something real quick? Betty, sorry, Betty, say something real quick.
Sure,
of course.
We'd love to hear her.
We always love a caller.
Hold on, say it, Betty.
Hello.
Hello, yeah,
Hi.
They can hear you.
Can you hear me?
They can hear you.
Okay. I want to thank Admin B for helping me with groceries. We really need food right now. We were able to get something to eat this morning. And I was able to pick up my medicine this morning. But we still need food, water, dog food. And we don't have any place to turn. I have no transportation to get anywhere. unless we pay somebody to take us. And I'm bedbound. My husband is disabled. And so it's been really, really hard. You know, we lost everything that we had in our refrigerator, freezer. Our home flooded some. We've lost a lot of.
Doug, you're
Doug,
on
you're
mute.
muted again.
Mike.
Oh, got muted up. Sorry about that. Hey.
Yeah, Betty. Tell Betty I'm happy to get her some groceries down there. I'll do it this weekend. I'll coordinate everything with Doug if that sounds good to you, Betty.
Said she'll coordinate everything with me if that sounds good with you.
The people in the comments said hello.
And everybody in the comment section, everybody online, you're famous now. So they all say hello.
Hi.
We definitely will. We definitely will. All right, I'll hit you back after this if it's possible to. Okay, you have a charged phone. All right, I will hit you up soon. Bye.
Yeah, but I can make that happen. I'll go to the grocery store and pick up a load of things. I can't promise a lot, but I can promise enough.
Listen,
I'll send some PayPal. Maybe I can send PayPal to you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome,
Vicky, and then you can have. If anybody wants to, they could send to you, and then you can buy a selection of staples and dog food, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking I was go to the grocery store and get dog food and stuff. That's what I was thinking.
What's the donation address?
So for her is my email. You can type in donation and I can give you that, or really you can go to, for PayPal, you can go to Opinium, OPI. Matter of fact, let me type it because I know N and M's and all the stuff. OPINIM recording, RECORDING.
Oh yeah, it's in our chat.
gmail.com. Opinium recording.
I was like, where are you posting this? That's the
recording at gmail.com. So
Pity you're not closer. I got a freezer full of venison. I need to move on out of here. So
what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's good stuff.
Too bad.
It is. Hey, you
So
know my dog's been eating well.
PayPal. That's the PayPal email address. The other email address is just go straight to me, and then I will give you Cash App and stuff like that numbers. The politicaldrain@gmail.com. That's for all the other ways to do it. So thanks a lot, guys. I wasn't expecting that, but I figured she wanted to say thank you so much. So
well, I think people sometimes that want to help and they don't know the best way.
Jen says it seems to be slowing down a wee bit.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Wow.
For Jen.
Yeah,
we're getting live updates in text from Jen.
She got over 10 inches of rain there, it said, on Tampa.
I would also like the venison to come to my house, Admin Matt. I'm just telling you. I
have a lot.
I feel like we need to have like a Sons of Liberty
barbecue
get together. Donald Trump hands. Sons of Liberty get together, and then Admin Matt can bring some venison.
Oh,
I'm down.
I'll bring my grill and we'll fire it up. And there's a guy who messaged me on Etsy who he's an army veteran, I think he said. Veteran-owned business. He makes his own barbecue sauce.
Oh, that sounds like the hit.
I'm going to need a lot to eat any venison.
What is it called?
Am I an honorary member yet? What's going on? Can I get some of this? What's happening?
You're welcome.
No, you're definitely you're definitely right.
On the venison.
His website is ODB BBQ. ODB Oscar Bravo Delta.
I love
barbecue.
that.
Of course it is.
Old blind off.
ODB.
Of course it is.
That's beautiful.
ODB.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can bring I'm very much a typical white lady in that I make fabulous pumpkin bread. Pumpkin bread that people get mad when I don't bring it to
I like
to
Nice.
things.
I was
So
afraid you were
I
going to
can
say
bring the pumpkin
ambrosia
bread.
salad.
Yeah, no, I'm not quite that white. I don't like mayonnaise. But my
You're not that kind of white, let's say.
yeah.
I only
My
like
mom,
it spicy. Put some pepper in there.
my mom
Gotta
my
put some
my
raisins to
mom
cool it off.
makes something called congealed salad.
Oh dear, that doesn't sound
And
very
it
good.
is the most 1970s recipe ever. It's like
Congealed.
orange jello.
Is it like ham suspended in jello?
Oh, does that have SpaghettiOs in it?
Oh yeah,
And
I know congealed salad.
Oh
mayonnaise.
yeah. I know what you're
And I was
saying.
like, why do you eat that? That sounds horrible. What are you doing? Why are we putting cheese in congealed in jello?
No, the question of how white is it is always how much mayonnaise is in the dish.
Oh, absolutely.
The
How much
mayonnaise
mayonnaise is in
quotient.
the dish? That
Yes.
once we know that, we know exactly the level of whiteness that we're dealing with.
I think marshmallows.
Yeah,
Is it
I
marshmallows
season
in
my
that
food,
realm?
y'all.
Cuisine.
I don't. I am 30 shades of pale, but the food is not pale food. I like hot sauce. I like onions. I like garlic, and I will use all of those in my food.
All right. So it comes together. We got a supply of venison. Tim's got a grill as well as his knowledge of 10.5 inches, and we've got Admin V's pumpkin bread.
Saw my
And
video with Bonnie Blue.
With 10.5 inches.
That was earlier in the conversation.
Back on that mag. Back on that mag. All right.
I also will bring pimento cheese, my own thing, and I put bacon and jalapenos in my pimento cheese, and so you should know that in advance. Again,
That
I
all
like my
reminds
food to have
me.
taste.
I was at a major financial institution on a contract for about 6 years doing work for them, and one of my fellow developers who was working there at the time brought in. Everybody would bring food in. We couldn't have like religious decorations for any one religion, so they had a totally not Christmas tree and a menorah that sat. This is like middle of July. These would be up, and we just called it the holiday food tree. And if you had extra Halloween candy, you had extra whatever, you had a half a kid's birthday cake you need to get rid of.
Wiccans.
You brought it into the holiday food tree, which sat with all the IT developers, and it would be gone. It didn't matter what it was; it would be gone until the day someone brought in Hungarian head cheese. Now, for those you don't know,
we have head cheese in the South too.
This is a real head cheese. So it is a head of a hog that's been basically turned into jello and then sliced it. I mean, eyeballs, tongue, the whole 9 yard, brains, all of it is sliced.
What the?
This is the only thing I have ever seen.
Bro,
the developers...
I'm glad I'm not the only one with that WTF response here. Like,
no,
the only thing the IT team would not make disappear. Yeah, the eyeballs. I've got a photo somewhere of like the eyeball in slices, like being held up for the camera.
I used to have
sliced eyeball is a thing I'd never thought.
They would want a sample to taste it, and I'm like, I have to pick up this thing and slice it for you so you can taste it.
Yeah,
look at it.
I retract my request.
Yeah,
I heard
will never bring that.
And I jumped the gun. I heard ODB.
I promise we will not have that at our cookout. Now, I'm going to tell you that my dad used to say that they would slaughter a pig and they'd use everything but the oink.
Yep.
Because
I mean, I'm from Jamaica, so I know that the goat. We've got the same thing: goat head soup and all that stuff. So I know what it is, but
like the farm kids, like you ate everything. You might not like everything, but you ate everything.
Yeah.
I can't eat liver or anything like that either. No way.
Yeah.
Chicken livers, chicken gizzards. Nope.
We used to have a guy. The guy who actually
ended
ended up taking some of the head cheese was. I'm not sure what it is he actually did there beyond eat food. He had a copy of they had a scheduling system for which conference rooms had meetings in them. And he had a filter on it to show which ones were going to have food at them. And he would bring in these Tupperware containers and he'd go into the conference rooms and he'd take anything that wasn't nailed down. Sometimes while the meetings are going in, he would walk into the meetings. He got written up for twice. He'd walk into the meetings and just like start loading pizza into Tupperware or hoagies and stuff.
And that's just
no, this thing. He was a senior level developer. He was getting paid. Well, probably not more than me, but he was getting paid a lot of money for these guys. But he was like in talking to him, it went back to his upbringing that he believed that letting food go to waste was a sin. So he made it his mission that none of this office food, which is not exactly the highest tier food to begin with, for being honest, would ever go to waste. So his whole thing was he was going to find all the food. This is this is an organization of I think 14,000 people across like 6 buildings. I go in and have a Tupperware containers. It's like, don't you have a job? Don't you do something here? Only guy who tried the Hungarian head cheese. I'll give him props for that because I was.
I'm willing to try anything once, but I don't know that I could try that. I'm going to be honest.
No. I like my food without a face. I like my food without a face that's been sliced into pieces. No. There was definitely a line that was way the hell over here.
Yeah.
Here's the line. There's the thing.
Just chunks of things like I don't know what that is, and I don't want to know.
Stop that!
And I'm definitely not eating it.
Oh, did Baroness start using her teeth?
No, that was Mikey.
Oh, there was one of them.
This highlighted comment I got. Are you going to address the videos at the beginning? We did at the beginning of the live stream, but I'll do it again. Those are a mixture of live action videos that I wrote and filmed, and some machinima that admin Matt and I wrote and filmed. So yeah, that's the explanation. I just decided to put it in there because rather than start the stream right on time, I figured let me just go ahead and get people warmed up. So that's what that's there for.
Also, it's media that Tim owns the rights to, so no problem with that in the stream.
You guys are cinematic geniuses, man.
Yeah,
ready
for
the
3 of us here who write, so
time to call Netflix.
Any of you write?
Funny story. I don't know if Tim wants to tell that one though.
What one?
The cost of living and streaming and all that stuff.
I did get a contract for that, but the existing material that I have for the cost of living, which is the semi-autobiographical thing about Afghanistan veterans, it's not finished. I have a lot more script, but indie film is still expensive. So we had to pause filming on that. And then the other one, the Western, pretty much the same thing. We had to pause. So at the moment, I have spoken to a number of different producers, but the producers basically independently of each other kind of said, you have to put forth at least like a quarter of the funding before anybody else will. And that's like a bare minimum of like $250,000. It's like, if I had $250,000, I would have just finished the fucking film myself and distributed it on like Amazon or some shit.
Right.
Anyway, so I actually, the movie that we made fun of when it came out, the border smuggling video. What is it? The
Sound of Freedom.
The Sound of Music or whatever. Yeah, The Sound of Freedom. So the studio that produced that and financed it and funded it, etc., is a sort of startup crowdfunding seeding thing called Angel Studios.
It's very Mormon.
And it is, but they estimate that about 70% of the people who are actually on that website are not religious at all, and of that number, at least half of them are actually not conservative. I thought that it would be hilarious if I crowdfunded one of those films, me being the dirty liberal that I am, through that platform. So I halfway considered doing that. And there was some other weird shady thing I was looking at doing, but I can't remember what it is. So anyway,
probably for the OnlyFans.
That's game in the system. That's not shady.
I mean, there's an industry website called The Blacklist, and it's a very famous website where if you can get something published, you have to get it like upvoted on the Blacklist website. If you get it enough attention to it, there's a good chance that some sort of Hollywood producer will contact you to pick up your script and try to get it made. So that's the other thing that I was thinking about doing, was trying to get people to be like, hey, go sign up for fucking Angel Studios and upvote my film. See what happens.
And to answer an earlier question there, the sci-fi piece, the machinima is done in the game Star Citizen.
Nice.
It's predominantly machinima filmed as opposed to being like CGI rendered.
So like you can make your own thing in the game itself?
No, we have to use what's in the game, and there are features that are not in the game that we have kind of worked around and made it ourselves, that are slowly coming online. But it's essentially, we're playing the video game, like steering our little characters around, and it's got you can hook up your webcam to it, and it will map your face. And so when if you watch the video where the guy is sitting in his spaceship and he's singing along to Nothing's Gonna Change My Love for You by Glenn Medeiros, what I did was, because I work in indie film, I have all these friends who are legitimate actors that are doing voiceover for these little episodes. And so like you've seen some of them as background extras in Marvel movies, or they've been on The Walking Dead, or they've gone on to do speaking parts, etc., in other films. But what I do is like I'll have them video themselves doing their lines, and then I'll hold my phone up to the webcam, and it maps their face. So like as they're doing the thing, that's their face making the eyebrows and lips move. So that's what that is.
Awesome.
Poor man's mocap.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Technology's cool, man.
So the guy that was doing that bit, his name is Eric, and I was like, can you sing? And he goes, no. And I'm like, perfect. I want you to sing. Nothing's going to change me. So, and Eric is kind of libertarian-ish, and he pro-second, loves his country, loves the law enforcement. So a little bit of a difference in ideology, but that's beside the point. He believes in not toxic masculinity, but he's like certain things I just don't ever see myself doing because it makes me feel weird or whatever. And he is awkward about singing, so he's like, I feel so weird singing this song in front of a camera from the 80s. He's like, I probably danced to that at my prom. So that was him singing it, and that was his lips making the character move.
Awesome.
Freaking I gotta get more singing parts into the scripts for him then going forward.
Hey, if you ever
we did it. What was that shit we did? The
same thing from Moana.
Yeah, Moana.
You're welcome.
The You're welcome thing. Yeah, we had two characters like so during COVID was when we were filming most of this stuff because we didn't have fuck all else to do in the industry.
We did a lot of dumb shit during COVID.
We had like one guy living in like North Carolina and one guy living in like Texas, and we're just like, I want you to sing the You're Welcome song from Moana. So they're like singing into their recording, like they got like studios or even their cell phones or whatever. And then I take it and mesh it all together because they're not in the same room together. It sounds off. And the one guy was like way bad out of key. So he's like, so when you mesh it all together, and I found like a karaoke track. So I was like, let's do it to this karaoke track. And they listened to the track and recorded themselves, but they didn't record the music. So it was literally just the words. They had like headphones on. And I just like put it together. I'm like, this looks like the right place. I didn't even try to sync it. I just kind of like slapped it on there. I was like, it looks like that waveform. And it came out beautiful. It's ugly as shit, but it's hilarious. You can watch most. We got like 5 episodes up on the Bravo Charlie Films site.
We got 5 episodes. Every single
gerrymandering.
Every single time I will say that we pitch anything remotely musical, Tim's first reaction was like, that's a terrible idea. Then it's up to the writers to like wear him down. No, we can totally fit this in and make it not stupid.
Keep me in mind if you ever need that score, if you ever need that movie score, it's what I do.
So we have a guy who custom composes. He'll basically like sit down at the start of the video and just sit there and like watch and make notes. He's like, what kind of atmosphere do you want at like 2 minutes and 30 seconds? And I'm like, oh, that should be like Klingon fight music, like dun, 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 dun. And he's like, got it. And so I'm like, oh yeah, and at this part here, it's like super sad.
But I like that. That's awesome. That is awesome.
We had I reached out to Tyler Cassidy, who used to be known. He started out he was going by Krispy Kreme, and then they threatened to sue him. So he changed his name to Froggy Fresh. And like 10, 15 years ago, he was like a freshman in high school making these stupid videos in his driveway. And then he disappeared for a while and came back as under his actual name. And he's basically like on lockdown. So he's playing the piano, and he's good. He's not great, but he's good. And he would make up these stupid songs. And he had this one called Your Boyfriend. And it's like, your boyfriend's a bitch. He ain't shit. So I reached out to him. I was like, hey, can I like put this in my video? And he's like, yeah. So then I learned the piano part to it, like a little tablature, and played it. And then so we got one of the actors to sing along to it, and he sounds terrible, but it's hilarious. We're gonna put that in the film too, or one of the episodes.
And to people in chat, no, the background for me is fake. The room behind me is kind of a mess, so I put up
What? No, that's the piano where we recorded this.
Yeah.
Go play it.
Fine. Disappear. Yeah. I can almost reach it.
Oh, your arm's stuck in it. Oh
no. The dog's back here like, oh, we're playing a game, huh? Oh, okay.
Suddenly the dog jumps out of nowhere. He's like, ah!
My dog he's been
Dog's
All
just
right,
upstairs.
I love all of y'all, but I have to work tomorrow.
As do
So,
I'm an
I
hour
would
earlier,
like
so.
to exit the stream. So,
Oh yeah, because we've been on for over 2 hours now. Whoops.
Yep. So I think y'all are fun and fabulous, and I love all of y'all, and I look forward to doing this again. But this one old lady here would like to sleep tonight, so I am gonna go. But it's been a delight, everybody.
Bye, Big V.
Where'd my hand go?
Night.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to start winding down at this point. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. All of the audience members that stuck around and participated at various points. I got a Q&A thread as a community post on YouTube. So if you got any questions, you can go in there and ask them. Last time somebody asked some pretty personal questions. So I guess
that's how we got to the 10.5 inches. So you guys ask, we find answers.
I never made that claim, by the way. So that was not me humble bragging or anything. I guess you saw my video with Bonnie Blue.
Media.
All right. Let's see. Anything from Admin Jen yet? No. I guess. Well, she's probably want to conserve her power, so I'll stop texting her anyway. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's going to be it for our stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. Mikey, get your claws out of my. I'm barefoot and he's got claws and he's just like right under my toenail. Is like.
They're sharp little buggers. They're that little.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, guys.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Bye. Nice
It was
to have
awesome.
you.